at this stage of the season. It's a really important 3 points for both teams.
Regan Charge-Cook, what a wonderful finish by Regan Charge-Cook. Deflection, out of nothing.
A chance for County to put a bit of daylight between them and St Johnstone.
Up he comes, and he's at the outside of the post.
It's a proverbial 6-pointer, isn't it?
Jordan White has on the post. Yes, in from Ross Callaghan. There we go, a huge 3 points in Perth for Malky McCann and his players.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to the Global Energy Stadium, live on RCFC TV for another colossal game in the Cinch Premiership. It's Ross County against the resurgent St Johnstone as Callum Davidson brings his team back up to Dingwall for what is a huge game at the bottom end of the Premiership table. Delighted to say my two guests this afternoon are Ross County midfielder David Cancola. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
And resident pundit Stephen Craigan is here once again. David, first of all, how's the injury and when can we expect you to be back playing?
Well, it's going very well. When it happened, doctors were expecting it to take a lot longer than what they're expecting it to be now. So I'm glad that it's going pretty well. I'm hoping it'll be in 2 to 3 weeks. Still not quick enough for my taste, but I'll be back soon and I can't wait to get back on the pitch.
We always do thorough research on this programme. It can be quite serious business at times, and I looked back at an interview that you did when you were about 16, I think, when you were Austria Vienna, and I'll just read you a quote. It said, "My ambitions are to work hard with the youth teams, to maybe get a chance to train with the first team, to break in to the first team at Austria Vienna, perhaps even to play for the national team one day. Those are my footballing ambitions." You might remember this, I don't know. But then it says, "My personal ambitions one day are to appear on RCFC TV." So welcome along, a personal ambition achieved today. How are you enjoying life in the Highlands?
I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. It is a big change for me, I'm not gonna lie. It's no secret. I'm used to living in very big cities, and obviously it's a completely new country, new culture, but that's exactly what I came here for, and I'm really enjoying my time here. I'm actually surprised by how much I'm liking the quiet, and also I've been driving around a lot, looking at different stuff, which I really enjoy as well, and there's so much left to see. The Highlands offer so much more than what people think, and so yeah, can't wait to see more of it.
It's a culture shock for you every week coming up here.
It is when we come out of the Central Belt, you're right, and we spend long hours on the road ourselves. But it's a nice time to switch off and get away from the busy schedule we have in our lives, actually to sit and get a bit of time to yourself. And you're right, the Highlands are a beautiful place to be. I think the club's been very welcoming to us since we came up here 18 months ago, so I'd imagine as the players the exact same.
I mean, you've talked about the injury, how some players really struggle when they're out to recover and watch the team performing, particularly when a big game like this comes today. How do you find it?
Yeah, I think I'm one of those players. To be honest, I really don't enjoy having to watch my team from outside. I really have a hard time wanting to contribute something and not being able to, but yeah, it's just part of the game, and I've been very fortunate with injuries. I'm not usually injured a lot, so it could always be a lot worse, and right now I'm getting really close to coming back, so I'm past the point of feeling sorry for myself. I'm just looking forward to being back on the pitch and being able to help the boys.
Stephen, that brings us to today's game. They don't get much bigger than this, do they?
No, they don't. It's two clubs who are desperate to get away from trouble. I think both sides are looking above them and thinking, can we catch the team above? The team above St Johnstone is Ross County. The team above Ross County is Livingston and possibly Aberdeen. So it'll certainly be a very competitive game. It'll be two teams who I'd imagine will be a little bit nervous. I imagine it'll be a frantic start. Both sides know what's at stake. You know, the press like to build it up, the fans like to build it up through the week. The players know what's at stake. The managers don't need to reaffirm to the players, you know, what the game's about and how big it is. It's all about being composed and being calm, playing the game for what it is, rather than looking too far ahead and losing your focus. So I think today is about the team who will deal with the occasion the best that will more than likely come out on top.
Well, I mean, we can look at the table now because it shows exactly how important a day this is for Ross County. As you say, St Johnstone eyeing them up, trying to drag them back in. They're in a fight at the moment with Dundee, but they're on up. Hibernian to Livingston in 9th is 3 points. Ross County are the ones here with a choice. David, do you want to be involved in a relegation fight or a push for Europe?
Well, I'm the type of person who's always going to answer that question with we want to push for Europe. I think it doesn't make sense looking behind you. They're going to be there anyways. They're going to try to come for you anyways. But also having seen us over the whole season, even in the start when we were really struggling to get results, there was never a point when I was concerned with the way this season could go. I think we show it week for week that there's no team that we have to be scared of, and there's few teams that we cannot look up to and realistically think we can catch up. So yeah, there's only one answer for me to this, but we all know that it's a tough league. It's tough teams to play against, but yeah, if we bring to the pitch what we can do and what we have shown before, then I'm very optimistic.
Well, thanks for now. Just one defeat for Ross County in Dingwall in their last 8 games. It's been good to get back to home comforts. And here's the best of the action from the Global Energy Stadium in 2022.
Regan Charles Cook to try and work some of his magic. Charles Cook with a cross! In it goes! We have the goal! And how good was that for timing? Roberts, who takes a touch and drills one into the top corner. Well, that's a superb strike. John Beaton is straight over, and it is going to be a red card coming out for County. White's in the middle, waiting for the ball in. It almost came to him. It does though come to Regan Charles Cook. The 10-man lead. Well, here's pressure. Regan Charles Cook takes a step, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, and Ross County have dug so deep tonight. And what an exciting day it is in Dingwall. Here goes Aribo, breaking from midfield, gets his shot away and sends it across, and it has taken Amad Diallo just 4 minutes to make his mark in Scottish football. Hungbo whips it in, it's lost by McGregor and tapped in by Jordan White. And County are level. White and Regan Charles Cook could be in here. Charles Cook in red hot form. And the master chef does it again. Amad Diallo takes on the shot, Maynard Brewer palms it away, and it's there for a tap-in for James Tavernier, and it's exactly the response Rangers were looking for. And again towards Roof, scrambled away, but only as far as Arfield, and it's going to be a Rangers goal. They have turned it around. Can County rescue a precious point? Baldwin, it's teed up, it's McGregor, and it's in from Matthew Wright! In the 96th minute! What a game at the Global Energy Stadium. Aberdeen, the visitors at the Global Energy Stadium. There's Scott Brown and asks Johnny Hayes to power on. Keith Watson won't get there. It's Johnny Hayes who opens a scoring off the inside of the post for Aberdeen. Opportunity here for the man in form. Charles Cook, it's blocked, it's now Callahan keeps it down and hits the back of the net. Ross County were not behind for long. There is to be no twist in Dingwall at the Global Energy Stadium. And now Pittman screaming onto the loose ball. It's Alan Forrest! Fabulous finish from the in-form winger to put the Staggies to bed. And Oberlai slams it into the stand. Charles Cook, does he have some magic left in those boots? Spittle. The deep ball, out comes Stryak. Yes! Fire again! Who knows who scored that? cares who touched it last? The Staggies have done it again at the death.
Well, some great moments there that have already got us up and running in 2022. David, it's a small ground, I'm sure, in comparison to some of the other places that you've played, but there can be a real atmosphere generated in here, and it makes a difference on the pitch.
It definitely does. For the amount of people we fit inside here, the atmosphere is very, very good, I think. And I have the feeling, you will probably know better than me, but I have the feeling that it's getting better and better from week to week. I have the feeling that the stadium is getting more full and more full, especially back there in the jail end. It's really delightful to see what's going on there. It's just like something's really building up there. It feels like there's really something growing, and we just really try every week to kind of feed into that and just give them a good performance, a good game to see, and I think we're doing quite well.
Do you think that sort of upturn in the atmosphere has been what has driven the team on late in those games?
Well, do you know, it's funny because I look back at those results, since the winter break at home, and barring the Rangers game, which was a really good point, I don't think the team have reached the level of performance that they had pre-Christmas. Motherwell had won 3-1. It took the game or took County to go to 10 men to come to life. Against Aberdeen, against Livingston, they were opportunities to really grab hold of the teams above and drag them back towards County. There were moments when we thought, can they get over the line? Can they go that little bit more? But they haven't fulfilled it. I think the games have been quite disruptive. I don't think that they've retained the ball as well as what they have previously. So they're still trying to find their best form of 2022. Away from home against Dundee, they were excellent. That's probably their best performance since the break. So today is another one of those games where you're not too sure what you're going to get. The expectations are go and get a win and suddenly start looking above. But on the flip side, can they go and fulfill that? I think that the loss of Harry Clark, and it's easy to talk about that. Jack Baldwin's missed some games. Blair Spittle, who we're speaking to, is not available. David's not available. Players who have a little bit of composure and can put their foot in the ball and take the sting out of the game at times. The games have been very frantic and feisty. Sometimes you just need to calm down a little bit. I think today will be frantic because of the nature of the game for both sides, but can somebody put their foot in the ball?
Now, all week, producer Stephanie Smith puts in the hours to put together all the VTs that we put out on screen. This might be one that you might want to go and make a cup of tea during. Here's the best of the action from Easter Road last week.
Henderson once again clips it towards the front post. Campbell.
Doyle Hayes, good hit, and it's in. Laidlaw got a hand to it, but not enough. And Jake Doyle Hayes opens the scoring at Easter Road. Doig, well won by Randall. Only White ahead of him, but comes all the way over to Regan Charles Cook.
Conviction on his effort that we've come to expect of Regan Charles Cook.
Callahan. Poor first touch though, and Sylvester Jasper now looks to profit. There's an overload on the right hand side. It's Ewan Henderson. Well, and Ross Laidlaw makes up for his earlier mistake, coming up with a big save from the goalkeeper. Mueller targets the front post area. It's Doyle Hayes again. It's the same result, but there was no way Laidlaw was stopping that one. That is a quite sensational strike from Jake Doyle Hayes. Well, the cheers go up from the home support for Ross County. It brings an end to an unbeaten run of 4 games.
So a disappointing afternoon in Edinburgh last weekend, which meant that Ross County suffered defeat for the first time in a wee while. How important, David, is it that they bounce back from that today?
Well, obviously very, very important, but I think we've shown in the past that we were always able to bounce back from not so good results, and especially against teams where it really is the so-called 6-point games, the big ones, and today is definitely one of those big ones. We've always managed to be where we have to be on point, and I'm very confident that we'll be ready again for tonight. I think you said it, that it's going to be a very hectic start, I think. Yeah. Both teams may be a bit nervous in the beginning, but it's going to be really important to still stick to what makes us strong, and that is definitely picking up the fight, but then remembering to play football. And I think that's going to be vital today, and if we do that, then I'm confident.
What are the areas of improvement from the game last week that Malky Mackay would have been looking to address during the last week?
Well, it's funny because I looked at those games even prior to Hibs and looking at possession stats, and possession-wise they've been fine, County, but it's productive possession. You know, having it in good areas where it's sustained pressure. A lot of the time it's helping the ball on and fighting it and keeping it simple, but can they get the ball to Regan Charles-Cook? Can they get it to Joseph Hungbo, but with quality? And with Jordan White, you know, we continually say that, can they get it with quality up to his chest, give him something to play with? But another, you know, thing is the concession of the first goal. I think it's the last 5 games you've conceded the first goal. So you're going to come unstuck at times. And they came unstuck last weekend against Hibs. There's not an awful lot in the game against Hibs, really. You look at the stats of possession, shots on target, corners, very similar. But the first goal, in games like today, in games like last week at Easter Road, are crucial. Listen, we're going to speak about Ross Laidlaw, but it's a poor goal to give away. It gives the impetus to the other team. And when you play against a team like St Johnstone, who defend deep, defend in numbers, frustrate, hard to play against, if you give them anything to hang on to, they're very difficult to then go and break down.
Atmosphere building towards kick-off, and earlier Stephen managed to catch up with Ross County manager Malky Mackay.
Malky, it's the start of a busy week, 3 games in a week, and you'll be hoping to come out with some positive results.
Yeah, we've got to make sure we try and get points. There's obviously, again, a little change in fortunes for some of the clubs. A couple below us are actually winning games, and once again, we've got to make sure that we try and keep distance between them and ourselves.
A lot of people are looking at today's game and classing it as a big game. How do you see it?
Just one more game. St Johnstone are just as good and as dangerous as the team last week and the team next week. It's not an easy league, and as has been seen in the last few weeks, anyone can beat anyone. And I think that we just go into this game today knowing it's a tough game. Callum's a good manager with a good football club, and they went through a run, but so has a lot of clubs in the division, and including ourselves. And they're back on a good run. They've invested in January, and they're back on a good run again. So we've got to make sure that we're on our mettle today.
The one thing you know when you play against the Callum Davidson side, whether they're in good form or not, you always get a physical, competitive game. So your players have to meet that head on.
Very much so, and I was really delighted with the way we did that down at McDermott Park, a couple of months ago. And we know today, they've got 4 or 5 big guys, and we've got to make sure that, as you say, that we win first ball and second contacts.
A couple of things must give you a lot of confidence going into today's game. The first one being your home record, only 1 defeat in 8. That must give the players a lot of belief coming back here to the Global Energy Stadium.
Yeah, and it's something we talked about recently in terms of how great the fans have been in the last period as well, and how they rub off each other. The players are desperate to do well for the home fans, who in turn are actually showing their appreciation, especially the Jail End. And I think it's good that our home ground, we're actually beginning to look like a place that people don't want to come and play against us. And as I say, we've got to make sure that we kind of we gather on from that today.
And secondly, that the teams you've played against below you, St Johnstone and Dundee, out of 15 points, you've managed to accumulate 13. Mm-hmm. So that speaks a lot about the character that your players have when these games come around.
It has, and it's interesting because the games against them, maybe other than the large win against Dundee, the games against them have been really tight and hard. And as I said, you look at the last couple of weeks of results in Dundee and St Johnstone. It's a division that I don't think there's a lot between maybe 7 or 8 teams in this division. As I said, there's teams that have gone through little runs and then come out of that and go on a real winning run. You look at St Mirren, they didn't have a win in 11 and then go win 4 in a row. So we've just got to make sure that there's consistency to our performances and try and pick up as many points as possible between now and the split.
Malky, all the best today.
Thanks, Craig.
Well, let's get straight to the all-important team news of Malky Mackay's selection of his 11 for this afternoon's game against St Johnstone. 2 changes from the side that played at Easter Road, or started anyway at Easter Road against Hibernian, as Keith Watson comes in to captain the side, and also Joseph Hungbo is back on the wing. So Watson, Baldwin, Iacovitti and Randall across the back protecting Ross Laidlaw, with Tilson, Payton and Callaghan in the middle. Hungbo, Charles Cook out wide, with Jordan White up front. David, it's a pretty settled team at the moment. It doesn't take too many tweaks. Probably the area of interest, and we're not certain, but we've assumed that that Connor Randall might go to the left, but you're maybe not so sure.
No, I think it's quite a good guess. I think one of the thoughts of the coach must have been that when we played them last time in the away, they did target our fullbacks with lots of high balls, long balls, and so I think bringing in some size on the right side with Keithy could benefit us in that sense. But also, you're right; it's a very settled team at the moment, and I think a certain amount of settlement, is that the right word, in the starting formation is a good thing, because you do get used to each other, and you do get patterns of play that you can then see on the pitch, and so I think it's good that we kind of found some structure that we can always just tweak little changes. So yeah, I think you guessed well with the formation.
I mean, not only does David have the best English of the squad, he doesn't need to ask us for grammatical tips in English.
No, to be fair, I'm glad I asked you and not me, because I wasn't so sure. But I think you're spot on. You know, you spoke about the long balls from St Johnstone. There's going to be lots of those today, because St Johnstone are the type of team that we're never going to get away from trouble by playing beautiful football. They were just going to try and improve their style of play, trying to be better at it, so they try and get the balls longer, but with more quality. So that's why I think, you know, the area where David would play in midfield, it's going to be a real battle to pick up second balls. Because if St Johnstone are winning headers as a back three, can the county midfield capitalise? Can they win it and be aggressive? But likewise, when the ball goes over their head, and Jack Baldwin and Alex Jacobet and even Keith Watson have to go for headers and the ball drops in midfield, they have to do their defensive work. So I think the midfield area is going to be crucial, because the ball's going to spend a lot of time in the air.
Keith Watson coming in, loads of experience, club captain. That's an important role on that right-hand side, isn't it?
Well, it is for a number of reasons, because he has the experience as a defender where he knows when to go forward, he knows when to drop off and be defensive. But I think being a voice behind Joseph Hungbo, potentially, to kind of not talk him through the game, but just to drag him deeper, to push him inside, to make sure he's tracking his runner. We all know what Joseph Hungbo can do in possession, but sometimes out of possession as a winger, you can get caught watching the game, you can daydream, and then suddenly your opposite player gets away from you. So just having that voice and that experience behind him may just bring him on a little bit defensively.
In the middle of the park, you'll have played with a number of partners in there. One that we've picked out is Ross Callaghan. What's he like to play with?
Well, I think something that is really one of his strengths is the runs in behind. I haven't seen many players who have a better feeling for when to run, for the moments, because that is crucial sometimes. It's not just about running. It might look like that from the outside, but it's very important, the timing of it, and to find the spaces, and he's really, really good at that. And that opens up spaces for the wingers and the striker, which they have profited a lot from it this season. But like you said, all the players have different strengths, and you can really tell on the pitch who's next to you. So again, I'm coming back to, sometimes it's good to have like a solid structure, that because you can get used to the patterns of play of the players around you.
I think it's 4 goals so far for Ross. Well, Malky looking for a bit more, given he hit 10 last season. Yeah,
and I think we probably expected a little bit more from him. You know, Regan Charles Cook has grabbed all the headlines. Naturally, the concern would be when his goals dry up, where are they coming from? You know, where's the array of goals coming from, the variety of goals coming from, and the importance of the goals coming from? You know, Joseph Hungbo was said could do with more. Ross Callaghan certainly could do with more. I think at times he starts to drop a little bit deep and wants to take the ball off the back four. But David's right. His strength is going beyond. And Jordan White is a lone striker. He needs support, and more often than not, we expect it to come from Ross Callaghan.
Big day for Ross Laidlaw, because we've touched on the goal, the first goal at Easter Road that conceded, and he might have wanted to do better in that game, and we'll see a lot of the saves that he's made of late. He's been a very, very important player coming into the team. He had a kick out just after the goal, and it went straight to a Hibs player, and I wondered if mentally he wasn't in the right place, but he responded after that and made a couple of really important saves.
It's probably been a frustrating period for him, because he started the season as the number one. He made a couple of mistakes, and Malky made the change, and Ashley Maynard-Brewer came in and done well. And it's difficult as a goalkeeper, because only one can play. And sometimes when you're not in the team as a goalkeeper, people forget about you. They think you're not, you're just training and you're not really focusing, but they're training every day for their opportunities. Managed to get himself back in the side, and he knows there's no room for error. He knows he can't make too many mistakes, because Ashley Maynard-Brewer is waiting to come back into the side. I think he's still missing with an issue with his nose. So he's very assured. He's recovered well. Today will be a big day for him. You know, it'll be in his mind, that mistake from last week. He has to try and eradicate that.
Let's move on to St Johnstone. because it's a big game for them. They've come up with a couple of wins of late. Straight to their team. Anyway, it's one change for Callum Davidson as Jacob Butterfield comes into their midfield. So it's Elliot Parish, Daniel Cleary, Liam Gordon captaining the side, Jamie McCart, Thomas Sang, Melker Hallberg, Ali Crawford, Jacob Butterfield, Tony Gallagher, and then Glenn Middleton and Callum Hendry up front. And this is probably a little bit unfair to ask you, because I looked at the St Johnstone team from the game that you played last against them at McDermott Park. Only 3 of them are playing today. But what have you found in the games that you've played against St Johnstone so far? What do they bring to the occasion?
Well, you're absolutely right. There were not many names on there that I recognized from the last game against them. But I feel like the way a team plays often doesn't change too much with which players are on the pitch. So I think it will be similar to the last games, that they do find a good combination between playing long and direct, but then at times wanting to move the ball. And they're obviously a very hard team to break down. They know how to sit deep. If they take the lead, I think it can be very hard. So like you've just said before, it's going to be crucial who scores the first goal.
He's not a new player, but he's one that's come back from loan. We know all about Callum Hendry. He gives them a more direct approach, doesn't he?
He does. I've always liked him. He probably doesn't get enough goals, but that seems to be a current theme throughout the St Johnstone attackers. When you think of Stevie May and Chris Key and Callum Hendry, they don't get a lot of goals. They bring so much to the team because they've got energy, they've got strength, they've got power. He'll be the focal point. He'll be the one that Jack Baldwin and Alex Iacovitti have to take care of. Glenn Middleton is the one with pace, so when the ball's coming forward, you know, the understanding has to be if Alex Iacovetti's going for the header, Jack Baldwin has to cover, because Glenn Middleton's got electric pace. But Henry just brings that enthusiasm for the game. You know, he's been alone in Aberdeen, he's been alone at Kilmarnock, and Callum Davidson's brought him back. He's coming back with a point to prove. His contract's up in the summer, so he'll think if he can get himself some goals between now and the end of the season, he either earns a new deal at St Johnstone or someone else turns their head and brings him in. And goals are the big problem, of course. They've only scored 6 away from home. When you combine the totals of both teams, St Johnstone have got less than half of what Ross County have. Which is incredible, which probably backs up my point saying that, you know, Callum Davidson's men were never going to get out of trouble by completely changing their style of play and going with wingers and being open and being expansive. That we're just going to try and be more rigid defensively, don't give up any soft goals, which have managed to eradicate, but try and take more of their chances. They're never going to be prolific goal scorers because of the way they play, but they're difficult to play against. They're hard, they stifle you, they get on top of you. It'll be a horrible, ugly game. They're not coming here today to entertain. They're coming here today to leave with a point, to leave with 3 points potentially in their mind. That's their sole focus. How they get there, they don't really care. And County, first of all, have to match that enthusiasm. Don't allow them to get in front, because once they are in front, they're a very difficult team to chase down. We're getting really close to kick-off now. David, thank you very much. Best guest of the season, I think. I said that to him off air. He's been the best. Well, thank you very much. We hope to see you back out on the pitch sometime soon. Craigs, we've got the game to do. We do indeed. We've also got a celebrity viewer today. Ailey Barber is watching. You've got a message for her. I have. Ailey, it's great to have you watching RCFC TV. I hope your team get gubbed. Well, on that note, let's get ready for the game. It's coming up soon.
As a family-owned business, Norscot understand the need for stability, security and comfort. That's why every timber frame kit we supply is built with these in mind. Providing great design flexibility, our homes are entirely customisable to your needs. And with a wide range of adaptable set and bespoke designs on offer, your budget is not a limitation. To find out more, email info@norscot.co.uk. Norscot, proudly serving customers throughout the UK since 1984.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my family.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my teammates.
When I hold the card, I'm standing with my neighbours.
When I hold the card, I stand with my brothers and sisters.
We're standing with everyone who's had to endure racial prejudice in their lives.
Racism comes in many forms, some clear, some more subtle.
It affects not just the victim, but friends, families and entire communities.
No one is born with it, and tolerance is taught, but it can be untaught.
To bring about change, we can't be afraid to take the first step. We fail when we fail to try.
We are supporting Show Racism the Red Card, our education charity.
Now more than ever, they need your support to give our future generation the tools to challenge prejudice, hatred and discrimination.
It's not enough to be not racist.
we all must be anti-racist. Education is the key.
Sometimes you have to search far and wide for the answer. But for creative video production, the answer's on your doorstep. DP Digital Media, the other top team in the Highlands.